All right, let's head right on in here to the item reveal. Just gonna kick that off today, so that's done, and everybody can know what the items are. All right, here we go. Got a pretty cool set today. Let me just move this over real quick. All right, so we're gonna start with the Machete, which is a small item, which is also a tool. Deal 10 damage, and if this is your only item with a cooldown, gain Rage 50. So you'll see later in my item reveal here that I'm doing a set of items that don't have a cooldown, and I've seen some other ones in the document with the card reveals in the Discord as well. So there's definitely a way to pull this off, though only having one item with a cooldown is certainly very weak to freeze and slow. But definitely could work. All right, next up, we have the trail markers. All items except your leftmost item have their cooldown increased by 1 second. I mean, that seems sensible with the Machete and the other non-users. If you have a lot of items that don't have a cooldown, this looks good. Kind of hard to conceptualize this item in particular until we have access to all of the items, put them together, but I'm absolutely sure that Trail Markers has a place in builds. Because there's going to be some items that need a certain duration threshold. Think of like the item Fort, which increases multicast on items based on their cooldown. So this would be an item you could flex in to make an item fit that parameter. And I'm sure there's other ways to utilize it as well. Yeah, definitely a crossover item. I was actually thinking like how nice a lot of these Karnok items look for other characters. So like finding the Karnok shop on like a pig run, or I think Vanessa has a lot of crossover with Karnok as well. Yep, also hits enemy items. So it's kind of like a one slot fort in a way, but no multicast. Definitely interesting. I do think any item that increases enemy cooldowns is very powerful because it can break chaining things like yo-yo, etc. So it's definitely can break an enemy build, and if it's not that harmful to yours, then big gains. All right, next item here, we have the Lost Blade, which is a relic weapon. Deal damage equal to 10% of your max health. If this is your only item with a cooldown, its cooldown is reduced by 5 seconds. So that makes it a 1 second item. Definitely going to be a build with that where you stack max HP and then have a 1 second blade. Kind of katana style, if you will. So this looks really powerful, but you know, again, you got to have one item. So unless you get a radiant enchant or something on the Lost Blade, could be a little bit tricky. But overall, looks really good. I think the hard part about this is... Okay, so it starts at 10 seconds, so it goes down to 5. Thank you. These items, of course, can change before release, too. They're still being balanced. But, okay, so starts at 10, goes to 5. Still 10% max health is a pretty tough one. Thanks for that correction. I look forward to trying out this item. Okay, now we're going to go on to a set of sigils, and sigils are specific items which have an effect, usually when you become enraged, but are also items that don't have cooldowns, which fit with the theme of our item set release here. Alright, Eagle Sigil has its own tag sigil, so that's another tag added to the game too. When you crit, gain 15 rage. When you become enraged, adjacent items gain plus 30% crit chance for the fight. I mean, for a one slot item, that sounds really good. And if you have any kind of base crit, then this is going to be awesome for becoming enraged, which happens at 100 rage. And again, has a set duration, and it can have other effects based on your items. All right, anyways, that's the Eagle Sigil. Let's move on here to the Wind Sigil. When you haste, gain 5 rage. When you become enraged, 2 items start flying. Your flying items' cooldowns are reduced by 10%. So I think this can be good in a specific board, but you know, as 2-slot item that takes up that, it's got to be It's got to be very specific. Now, there are a lot of items in Karnok's kit that do a lot of haste, like the Hunter's Boots and some other ones that have a large amount of haste effects. So this could certainly be a catalyst to becoming enraged quite fast if you had the correct haste setup. I feel like the flying items cooldowns are reduced is a little bit secondary. I'll be very curious to see the enchants on these sigils too, because that'll kind of determine, I think, their efficiency. Alright, next up, we got Flame Sigil. When you burn, gain 5 rage. When you become enraged, burn equal to 3% of your max health. So, 3% isn't that much. But, if you had a way to enrage, drop enrage, and become enraged again, this could definitely be a big one. And just gaining rage on burn is certainly a very nice effect. So I don't think there's going to be any problems putting this on the board. If we have other burn items, it's going to be a pretty clean pick, I think. You get bonuses for burning, and then you get extra burn when you reach a threshold. Sounds great. I'd be very curious to see the enchantments on this one too. Because I'm guessing the enchantments will focus around the when you become enraged effect, but if they are on burn, we'll see. Alright, next up we have the Vengeful Sigil. When your enemy uses an item, gain 4 rage. While you are enraged, your weapons have lifesteal. They're kind of like Omega Caltrops. I think for Karnok specifically has a lot of weapon stuff, so just dropping this in a weapons build seems good, because you can become enraged and then swing your health back, or finish off the fight with your lifesteal, extending your health pool out. So that definitely sounds like a very desirable item to me. Now, if you've watched me, I'm not the biggest fan of items that require the enemy item use, but if it's part of the kit you're already building, it's not so bad. It's not quite like, let's say, Tripwire, where you absolutely have to have the enemy use items. This can just be a secondary effect on the board. Definitely could work, because if you're already generating rage from other sources, which you will be with Karnok's base skill, you get rage for using small, medium, and large items, 5, 10, 15 rage. It seems like a nice complement to a weapons build. Or at the very least could be a nice piece to just plug in for a day or two while you try to pivot. Okay. Next up, we have the Tranquil Sigil. When you heal, gain 8 rage. When you become enraged, heal equal to 15% of your max health. Okay, I didn't see too many heal items in Karnok's kit. Not to say there won't be more, but I think this one might be a little bit hard to execute on the base set. However, imagine getting this on Pig or another character. It seems like a really great crossover item for a different build. Even like Aquatic Vanessa could have some there, or anything with a heal enchant. I mean, a lot of good options here, I think, for the Tranquil Sigil, and I'm sure it will work in Karnok's kit. I just haven't fully rationalized how that'll work, just having looked at the items. Give me a lot of fun stuff to play with on the release for sure. But I think this one's pretty straightforward. It's really just a way to enrage while healing, which could be very relevant. Okay, and another one here, the Assault Sigil. You need 100 rage to become enraged, and Karnok is the only character that starts base with the rage skill. I'm not sure if other characters will have other ways to gain rage, but it seems like it's going to be the sigils or Karnok's starting skill. Okay, Assault Sigil here. It counts as a weapon as well. When you use a weapon, gain 5 rage. When you become enraged, deal damage equal to 10% of your max health. So this one, to me, seems like the most slam dunk of the sigils. If you have a weapons board, this is good. There's not too much discussion there, I don't think. I think it's just a really nice item. And Karnok certainly has a lot of weapons. So this definitely seems like it could be a good fit on a lot of different boards by my estimation. So we'll have to wait and see how those feel. Time will tell. All right, that's all the items. I'm going to go through them once more here, just as a splash. And we have Machete, deal 10 damage to your only item with a cooldown, gain 50 rage. That's half the amount of rage to become enraged. We got trail markers. All items except your leftmost item have their cooldowns increased by 1 second, including the enemy board. So this increases enemy cooldowns, which makes it a very strong item. Have Lost Blade, deal damage equal to 10% of your max health. It's your only item with a cooldown. Its cooldown is reduced by 5 seconds. As was pointed out in chat, this has a base of 10 seconds, not 5 seconds, so it goes from 10 to 5. Still very strong. And then we have the sigils here, starting with Eagle Sigil. It gains rage when you crit. When you become enraged, it gives adjacent items crit. And this is strong. It's definitely going to be good. Alright, Wind Sigil. When you haste gain rage, you become enraged, items start flying. Flying items cooldowns reduced by 10%. We'll see on this one. I'm sure it has some function. Flame Sigil gains rage on burn, and becoming enraged, it burns for a percentage of max health. I bet this percentage goes up when you goes to diamond. I'm now realizing. Alright, we have the Vengeful Sigil. When your enemy uses an item, gain rage. While you're enraged, your weapons have lifesteal. Looks nice. I think I'd prefer the weapons sigil, but I bet this is also very good. Alright, Tranquil Sigil. When you heal, gain 8 rage, and become enraged, heal equal to 15% of your max health. Right on. And the Assault Sigil is the last one here. When you use a weapon, gain 5 rage, and you become enraged, deal damage equal to 10% of your max health. Yeah, I saw that as well, Spambo, that Karnok does have some max health stacking items. So there's definitely going to be some interesting combos here. Again, there's a big resource on the Bazaar Discord, Karnok Scouts channel in the pinned messages. There's a Google Doc with all of the items that have been revealed so far, which I'm sure these will be added in there as well. If you're looking for the full kit, I think his kit looks really interesting, and I'm excited to check out the character on the 4th for sure. Thanks to Tempo for sending over these preview images and let me do a card reveal. Definitely cool. All right. Well, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Definitely excited to play Karnok here in a few days.